All right, folks. So this is an introduction to the very first version of Aerie, the Adjunct Assistant. So this is an agent or a chatbot that we are working on to try to streamline your efforts as a faculty member here at Wake Tech so that you don't have to go hunt and find the answers to all of your questions. We realize that y'all are sometimes working at odd hours and maybe you're not real comfortable sending us an email, although we're happy to answer. And sometimes you just want a quick answer to a question that you might have. So let's walk you through Aerie, the Adjunct Assistant, and I want to show you how it might work for you. So what you see here is the prompt, which tells you that it's related to our Wake Tech Eagles as an eagle nest in a place where you might rejuvenate and sort of get your energy to continue soaring as an instructor here at Wake Tech. It first starts by asking you your name, which you would enter, and then it's going to greet you and ask you how it can help you, and it'll give you some ideas, things like onboarding or college resources. And for this example, I've asked it, what's the first day of classes in the spring of 2025 at Wake Tech? And it gives me the answer, January 8th, which is great, but I might be trying to get at one of our other sessions. So instead I might ask, is there a different date for other sessions? And it's going to comb through its information and say, well, actually, yes, there are different dates. There's a date for the first 8 weeks, the second 8 weeks, the 12-week classes. Do you have any more questions? Just let me know. You might even find yourself wondering some things that you feel like you should know the answer to, like who leads the C&T department at Wake Tech. And in this case, it's going to direct you to Emily and Angela. It might even tell you that you can contact me as the adjunct faculty lead. And then if you have any more questions to ask. You also might have questions about professional development at Wake Tech. So you might ask whether it's available for adjunct faculty. And here it's going to tell you absolutely it is. And one of the best places to get that training is going to be through our Center for Excellence in Teaching and Learning. And it'll give you some information about that. Maybe you have questions about EPIC, our online training that we offer for online instruction. And it's going to give you lots of details about EPIC and then prompt you to ask more if you have more questions about it. You might want to know, okay, well, this sounds great. How do I sign up for it? And it will give you detailed instructions about how to go to the Go Sign Me Up portal and remind you of the steps that you would follow once you get there to tell you how to complete your registration for those classes. Then you might ask that might lead you to think of other questions like, how would I reach out to the e-learning folks if I have questions? And it's going to give you some different suggestions. It might suggest that you go to the website or that you use their live chat or maybe through the links available on their webpage. And then, of course, if you have more questions, you can feel free to ask. Maybe you have questions about CETL, which is the Center for Excellence in Teaching and Learning. Has a great portal for you to use, and it gives you some suggestions of the kinds of things that you might find there. In this case, it actually gives you the link, so you can click right on it and navigate through all of the offerings through CETL before you toggle back to Aerie to ask more questions. Maybe at this point in your journey, you want to know things other than just Wake Tech. Maybe you want some more pedagogy type questions. So you might say something like, I'm a new online instructor, and I could really use some ideas for icebreakers for my online class. And in this case, Aerie's going to go all the way out into the web and do some searching and come up with some very specific exercises that you might want to adapt and use in your classes. This could include anything like icebreaker questions or some of the interactive things you can do with Padlet. And in this case, you could just ask for more details and it would dive into these areas. Maybe you want to ask even a broader pedagogy type question like, I'd like to try to expand my teaching to be more interactive in order to increase students' feelings of student belonging. Do you have any suggestions or resources? And in this case, again, it's going to go beyond just what we have in our department, and it's going to give you some suggestions for things like active learning strategies and making personal connections, and even give some suggestions for types of technology you want to use. And you could dive deeper and ask for more information about any of these pieces of information that it provides. You might even say, okay, this sounds great. Is there any way I can get this through Wake Tech? And it's going to get real specific, and it's going to tell you we've got CETL, we've got e-learning, we've got the ILC, we've got all kinds of technology tools, and then remind you that you can visit those web pages to learn more. And then lastly, along in the terms of trying to find this kind of professional development, you might say, well, that's great, but is there anything outside of Wake Tech? And it's going to find some other places where you might find some resources, some of which you may be familiar with, maybe the Chronicle of Higher Education or Inside Higher Ed, but maybe you don't know much about Coursera or edX, and those give you some new suggestions for places to look. So again, you could dive deeper into any of these areas, or you could just kind of take it in a different direction. You might ask for suggestions for scholarly websites that provide sort of research-based information. And in this case, it's going to kind of take things in a little bit of a different direction. And it's going to give you some suggestions for places where you could find OER resources, some places where we've got some community college online equity rubrics. So it's going to perhaps bring up some things that you aren't as familiar with or that we don't necessarily have in our resources here at Wake. So what I'd like to leave you with here is that you can wrap up your conversation with Aerie, and it will remind you at the end that if you have more questions, you can always go to the Wake Tech C&T Padlet that Emily and Angela have created, and it'll even give you the link to send you in that direction. So this is what we have created through this agent that we've been working on. It's still in process. We're still trying to give it enough resources that it'll give you really robust answers when you ask questions. But we wanted to show you what we've been working on, see if this is something that you think might be useful, and get your thoughts on it as we move forward with the project. So once again, all of these types of things that we're doing are because we value you, we appreciate you, and we want to find new and creative ways to support you. And we really appreciate you giving us feedback so we know the best ways to do that.